Hey there hunters, Lord here, back with another Monster Hunter Wilds video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over 5 of the very strongest sets here in Monster Hunter Wilds after the release of Arch-Tempered Ray Dow. Now I do want to note before we jump into it that depending on your weapon, you may have to make some customizations to each of these sets, but I'll be sure to add some little notes about that here and there when I can during the sets. But just know that just because the set is shown how it is in this video does not mean it has to stay like that, and you are more than welcome to change around decorations to fit skills that you would like or to better fit your weapon's playstyle. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. So coming in at number 5, we have the Gore Helm Beta, Numinous Shroud Beta, the Guardian Arkveld Vambraces Beta, the Gore Coil Beta, and the Mizutsune Greaves Beta with the Challenger Charm 2. Now this set overall is going to fit more of a dual blades or bow style. This is really strong for elemental dual blades. However, the number 1 set that we have currently will better fit bow, but I'll talk more about that then. However, this just gives you another option. For full skills, we end up with Gore Magala's Tyranny. Using the 2-piece of Gore armor, we get Black Eclipse 1. So with Antivirus level 3, we can clear the Frenzy very quickly and gain plus 25% total affinity, as well as activating Coalescence. We have Weakness Exploit at level 5 for an additional 30% affinity when striking weak spots and another 20% on wounds. We have Agitator at level 4 for additional attack and affinity when the monster is enraged. Now the weapon decorations and weapon, of course, will totally vary depending on what you like to play. However, for dual blades, this is pretty much the strongest setup as far as your weapon skills go. We then, of course, have Antivirus level 3, which, again, allows us to clear that Frenzy a little bit faster and gain additional critical chance after clearing the Frenzy. Coalescence at level 2 gives us a nice boost to our elemental damage after we clear that Frenzy. It's very strong, very nice for these elemental style builds. Constitution level 2 helps us use up less stamina when dodging, and since dual blades and bow both have perfect dodge mechanics, you're going to be dodging a lot. Now with most of our sets prior to Title Update 1, all we really ran was Burst level 1, but the Mizutsune Greaves Beta are a very efficient way to get an extra level of this without losing any other skills, so we go ahead and opt for Burst level 2 here. Evade Window 1 is free on the armor, and then Adrenaline Rush, again to tie in with bow and dual blades perfect dodge for a little bit extra attack when you do nail those perfect dodges. Now the reason that this one falls down into 5th place, again, don't think that it's a bad set because it is in 5th, it still makes the top 5, but it's a little bit more situational for weapons, especially like dual blades and bow, so you won't get as much use out of this if you're using a non-dodge heavy weapon like say Greatsword or Switch Axe. Now moving on to our 4th best set. From here on out, I'm going to be showing all of the builds with Charge Blade because that's my personal main. However, again, you can rock pretty much any weapon you want with these. You'll just change around, of course, the weapon itself and the decorations to better fit your weapon-specific skills. We have the Numinous Crown, Shroud, and Overlay Beta, and the Gore Vambraces and Greaves Beta with the Counter Charm 3. As far as skills go, with 2 pieces of Xochia armor, we get Xochia's Pulse at level 1. This allows us to recover our health beyond the red portion after you get hit, so this makes this set a little bit more comfortable. We of course get Gore Magala's Tyranny, just like we talked about in the number 5 set. We have Agitator at level 5, as Agitator has a significantly higher overall upside than Weakness Exploit. And while that's not always the case for every weapon, most of the time Agitator is going to be prioritized here. The reasoning behind Agitator typically being prioritized over Weakness Exploit is that in the current base game, before we get into significantly higher damage numbers with the inevitable Master Rank expansion, our weapons have pretty low raw, and so Agitator's raw and affinity boost is an overall bigger percentage boost than Weakness Exploit would be. Attack boost and critical boost are in the weapon and will, of course, vary and change depending on your weapon. Now, Counter-Strike level 3 with this set allows when we get hit by an attack that would send us flying, we are able to get a ton of extra raw out of that. So using things like the Greatsword Tackle or the Switch Axe Sword Mode Parry is a great way to activate these skills. A lot of other weapons have attacks that have hyper armor, so you don't always need to get hit in order to activate Counter-Strike. You can also tank hits with Rocksteady to activate Counter-Strike. So again, using Counter-Strike is going to depend heavily on your weapon and playstyle. If you're using non-stamina intensive weapons, then Maximum Might is going to be great here. It's an additional 30% affinity when our stamina is full. However, if you're using bow and dash dancing, or if you're using Pierce 3 rapid fire burst step light bowgun, you're not going to have any Maximum Might uptime. So if those are your weapons of choice, going for something like earplugs at level 2 or even stamina surge at level 3 will be much more beneficial here. Of course, because we are using at least 2 pieces of gore armor, Antivirus 3 is going to be in the set. Weakness Exploit level 2 is a great way to squeak out some extra affinity for this set. And since we already have Agitator maxed out and Burst at level 1, going for Weakness Exploit 2 here in our head and chest level 3 slots is just the best way right now to squeeze out some extra damage. Master's Touch again in the weapon. Recovery Speed, Evade Window, Constitution, Coalescence, and Flinch Free are all free on the armor. Recovery Speed will double the speed at which you recover your red gauge. And of course, like we said, with that Zoshia armor bonus, you will continue to heal past that red gauge. Again, making this a very comfortable set to use overall. And of course, Burst at level 1, as it's an extremely efficient way to get a little bit extra raw. Now, before we jump into the number 3 set, we need to first talk about the Ray Dow Gamma armor. Now, the 3-piece set bonus does give the Ray Dow overall Gamma armor a chance to push beyond the Gore Magala armor. However, it is extremely reliant on a lot of things to go right for you. And if you want to learn a little bit more about that, I'll be sure to link a video down in the description where I talk a little bit more in depth about it. But just know that any sets using the Ray Dow Gamma, at least at 3-piece, does have the potential to be out 2 and even 4-piece gore. However, it does have a small asterisk and caveat of it's very dependent on your playstyle, the length of hunts, and how often you can keep latent power up. But for the number 3 best set in Monster Hunter Wilds, we will be rocking the Ray Sandhelm Gamma, the Numinous Shroud Beta, the Ray Sand Braces and Sand Coil Gamma, and the Numinous Greaves Beta with the Challenger Charm 2. All in all, of course, we have Ray Dow's Voltage. With 2 pieces, we get Thunderous Roar level 1, and while this doesn't make latent power any easier to activate, it does mean that instead of lasting only 2 minutes, it will last 2.5 minutes, and since it takes 2 minutes or taking 130 damage to activate, even if you take no damage, in your hunts you will have 2 minutes of no latent power and then 2.5 minutes of latent power uptime. So again, depending on how quickly or how slowly you are clearing quests, you should have roughly at or above 50% uptime for latent power. We of course still have our core skills of Agitator 5, Weakness Exploit 4, Maximum Might level 3. We also do get Evade Extender level 2 with the Ray Dow Sand Braces Gamma, and this is a really nice skill to help avoid some of those larger AoE attacks, most specifically with Zoshia and AT Ray Dow itself. Latent power at level 2. For extra affinity and stamina management once you have either taken that 130 damage or spent 2 minutes in the quest. Counter-Strike at level 2 for the same reasons that we had in the previous set. If you get hit or if you're playing a weapon where you can tackle, parry, etc. through an attack that would send you flying, you're getting a bunch of bonus raw attack. Master's Touch in the weapon. Stamina Surge comes free on the armor but is nice for recovering that stamina, so you can keep Maximum Might up a lot more often. Burst at level 1, again, it's a super efficient way to get a bunch of bonus raw right off of the bat. Burst is an extremely front-loaded skill, meaning that opting for 1 level here and going for higher levels of Agitator or Weakness Exploit or what have you is much more efficient than going for Burst level 5 and dropping levels of Agitator, Weakness Exploit, etc. Elemental Absorption at level 1 won't make too much of a difference overall, but it is a pretty nice supplemental skill. And of course, Recovery Speed 1 rolls in nicely with the 2-piece Numinous in order to regain our health faster. Now, the main thing we take away from this set, again, is that Lord's Soul. With 3 pieces of the Ray Gamma armor, we get plus 5% raw attack at a detriment of minus 5% defense. Now, the caveat with this is that this skill also includes Guts, which gives you a small orange bar on your health bar, and if you are above that bar with your green HP and take a hit that would have killed you, you will survive at 1 HP. However, if that happens during your hunt, you lose that 5% attack bonus, and this set immediately becomes worse than any of the Gore Magala mix sets. Now, the second best set, again, has the opportunity to be the very best set, again, completely dependent on if you're able to keep up Lord Soul and latent power, but we will be rocking the Ray Sandhelm, Sandmail, and Sandbraces Gamma with the Gore Coil and Greaves Beta and the Challenger Charm 2. For our skills on this set, we of course have Ray Dow's Voltage, just like we talked about before, extends latent power's uptime by 30 seconds. Lord Soul with the 3 pieces of the Ray Dow Gamma armor, again for that 5% attack boost so long as you do not activate the Guts portion of this skill, and Black Eclipse 1 using the 2 pieces of Gore Magala armor. We again have Agitator level 5. We actually have latent power at level 3 on this set, and with that, this set is able to hit for 100% affinity, but again, there's that asterisk of how often you can actually keep up latent power. As per usual, with all our Gore sets, we have Antivirus at level 3, and then we actually only need Maximum Might at level 2, so you will notice that there's a free level 3 slot in the waist. You could drop in another level of Maximum Might here, in order to make sure that when latent power is not active, you have 10% more affinity during that time. However, I will leave that completely up to your customization. Any empty slots you see in all of these sets are completely up to your personal choice. The rest of the skills are nothing too surprising, stuff that you would completely expect to see. And this set does have the opportunity to beat out our #1 set, but again, it's very, very limited because of the ability to keep up that 5% attack boost and latent power. If you're unable to keep up latent power very often, or if you ever lose that 5% attack boost, this set is immediately worse than our #1 set. However, it is a super, super comfortable way for a lot of players, especially on some of those harder fights like Zoshia or AT Ray Dow, to squeeze out some more damage than you would likely see from running 4-piece Gore, and that is why this one gets cemented nicely in the #2 spot. And just like that, we are on to our #1 set, and this will likely come as no shock to anyone, but we will be running 4 pieces of Gore Magala Beta armor with the Numinous Chest Beta and the Challenger Charm 2. This set still really is just the most consistent, especially since most fights are very, very short and don't give you enough time to activate latent power. You're going to see a lot better results with this set during 90% of your hunts. As per usual, our skill list is looking extremely similar. The only difference that we really see here compared to any other sets is Black Eclipse 2 by using 4 pieces of Gore Magala armor. So while you have the Frenzy, you get plus 10 raw attack. Once you clear it, it becomes plus 15 raw attack. Over the course of an entire hunt, this roughly averages out to between 13 and 14 extra raw attack, as you will have the Frenzy cleared much more often than you won't. Now, of course, that is provided you are being aggressive enough to attack the monster and actually clear the Frenzy. If you're not doing that, then this set is not really going to always be giving you that plus 15, and you'll probably have the Frenzy up a lot more than you won't. But again, you're still getting plus 10 raw attack while frenzied, and that just again makes this set a lot more consistent than any of the 3-piece Ray Dow setups. One big thing that I would mention here is if you are planning to use bow or anything very stamina intensive, you're going to want to drop those 3 maximum might jewels in the arms and waist for, again, something like earplugs or stamina surge. And if you're rocking something like Greatsword or Switch Axe, you can drop those 2 Tenderizer jewels in favor of Challenger jewels, and this will keep you at Agitator level 5, allowing you to drop the Challenger Charm 2 in favor of the Counter Charm 3 to give yourself all 3 levels of Counter-Strike while still maintaining all 3 levels of maximum might. With that level of customizability, as well as the relative ease of use and overall consistency of the 4-piece Gore with the Zoshia chest, makes it the #1 armor set in Monster Hunter Wilds after Title Update 1. Now, of course, there are tons of great set options. There are lots of fun ways to play this game, lots of fun skills to try out and use. However, in terms of pure DPS, EFR, etc., these are going to be the top 5 sets for you to look out for. Again, depending on your weapon, make sure you are customizing your weapon's decorations. And one more time, just because I show a set a specific way in this video does not mean you have to make the set exactly that way. Whether you prefer other skills, or you're looking for a little more comfort, or you just want to try something out and see how it goes, At the end of the day, you paid for the game, it's yours, you own it, and you are more than welcome to make changes to these sets in order to make these sets more comfortable or more fun for the way you want to play Monster Hunter Wilds. So if you guys did find today's video helpful, be sure to drop a like down below and be sure to subscribe for more Monster Hunter content just like this. Title Update 2 is just over the horizon in the summer, and you know we'll be covering it all here on the channel, so again, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. With all that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I wish you all a good day, and happy hunting.